Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I'm the Grace Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Wednesday, July 3rd, 2024. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first 5 cards in our 5-card spread? First card we are starting our day off with today, 4 of Cups in its upright. Not surprised to see this card today. One of the things that we were discussing as we were giving that recap of the last few days has to do with a lot of that energy built upon resiliency and transformation. That's going to bring up a lot of those subjects of change. Masculine and feminine energy deep within the divine union frequency right now. One of the things that we see that is helping a lot of the energy outside of the divine union frequency is helping get a better sense of perspective as it relates to the options and the directions that others may pursue. We saw and recognized that over the last few weeks, a lot of that energy has been implementing and putting forth a lot of work in relationality to their own directionality. And there's a lot of resiliency that we see has been occurring deep within the divine union frequency. That ability to really draw forth, that ability of determination, even in the modalities where it's vulnerable, because when you move forward on a determined path, you're never necessarily sure how that's going to be received. And we recognize that for a lot of the energy within the divine union, navigating how something was being received was almost something that created a vulnerability within you, because it was changing your perception, potentially even around some of the connections that are around you at this time. However, we see right now in this week, a lot of the energy right now in the divine union frequency is moving now more into the modality of lending support to others as it relates to their own decisions. Why are we seeing that? And we saw that yesterday specifically. A lot of the masculine energy yesterday, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what feels most aligned to. A lot of the masculine energy navigating hurdles, navigating points of instability, letting themselves feel the full breadth of emotions. But what's valuable and important about that work, even if it sometimes creates feelings of instability, being able to work through it, being able to have a safe space in order to express, assess, and navigate how you are feeling, is where that vulnerability becomes a strength, because it is the ability to feel that allows us the ability to consider, and the ability to consider gives us the ability to perceive, and the ability to perceive gives us the ability to make a choice. So what is the energy within the divine union frequency doing for a lot of the energy surrounding it that may be feeling that instability a little bit more sensitively without feeling the resiliency of a manifestation goal or the counterpart energy? It is lending that perspective of the energy in the divine union to those around them to both help motivate them in recognizing the possibilities that are surrounding them instead of the limitations that may be experienced in moments where we feel self-doubt, uncertainty, anxiety, fear. So that ability, that simple act of giving something forth and offering someone a new perspective, that is the gift of a lot of the energy right now within the divine union frequency. That is something that they offer one another, and that is something that they are almost freely sharing. Well, again, a lot of that sense of discernment is occurring for a lot of the energy within the divine union right now, because again, the ability of recognizing, this is why the energy is not being prescriptive in relationality to how the energy outside the divine union frequency should move, because this is the energy that is almost amplifying the importance and significance of being able to find your own path, as opposed to just kind of following the template of someone else and feeling like it may yield the same result, right? That's that concoction, that's that mix that we have to find within each other that allows us to really seize upon what works for us. So in a way, even the ability of the energy within the divine union to articulate that to those surrounding the divine union, that is what is motivating a lot of the energy in having that shift in perspective in relationality to some of their own circumstances, situations, or even moments of insecurity or doubting of one's own self. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is coming into divine union, this is the energy that's considering their options right now, because we articulated that for a lot of the energy coming into divine union right now, this is like a little bit of that uh-oh kind of energy, because if this is energy that felt like they were very certain, they were very firm, they were very fixed in terms of what they were hoping to manifest with one another, there's a new variable that we're seeing that has entered the equation in this Cancer season, and that is the emotional space. That is the unplanned emotionality that often starts to take hold when we build a true, authentic, energetic connection. For masculine, even now, that could be that feeling of overwhelm that we were articulating and seeing that was occurring yesterday. For feminine, experiencing that, but being able to move into that state of energetic resiliency is a lot of that work. It's having a different impact on the energetic frequencies. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. For them, both of these energies are almost coming into that point of consideration in relationality to how to express that to the potential counterpart. Because again, this is not energy that feels like they want to flip the script, nor do they want to like flip the table. This is energy that's trying to articulate and say that what they're emotionally feeling wasn't necessarily anticipated. What they were emotionally feeling wasn't something that they were necessarily prepared for. And a lot of this energy, feeling that sense of vulnerability. For masculine, again, feeling that easement of coming into a connection with feminine that almost feels, again, it feels so easy because it feels so authentic. It feels so authentic that it allows you to put your guard down. The more that you put your guard down, the more that you express, even in your vulnerability. If this is a feminine energy that feels like they're there for it, this is almost that masculine energy, feeling that sense of security and stability that almost creates that internal shift within. And that isn't necessarily the energy that feels like they need to change for the counterpart, but that is the center of love. That is the heart of love that is almost expanding within the masculine, that sometimes creates that feeling of distress and anxiety because the emotional center is one that cannot be controlled. This is why it can often be a little bit more difficult for the masculine, because the masculine energy is like, I feel something and I don't have control over how I'm feeling. But even here, we see that the masculine energy, even in that modality, not running from that energetic feeling, but being able to consider it, being able to feel that shift from within, being able to approach it with a sense of delicacy. This is like the masculine energy coming into divine union that feels like their heart is opening, or they're being introduced to their heart for the first time. Because the feminine energy that is doing that work in order to like allow that space. This is almost the feminine energy that doesn't feel like they need to do anything in that, because this is almost the feminine energy that is experiencing that more in this sense of confidence and security, of feeling like they can be their authentic true self, their true nature that is being expressed in combination with that masculine energy. So this is almost that beautiful symbiosis that we see of both energies feeling like that ability of coming towards each other. It's like they're finding their true self in the process of coming together. So in that modality for the feminine, it is reaffirming, it is building confidence, it is amplifying, it is strengthening. While for masculine, it is expanding, it is softening, it is loosening, it is the armor that's being shed. So both of these energies coming into divine union right now are feeling this, and they're trying to navigate the best way to approach some of that change energy that they're feeling from within. Because neither energy, that's that trepidation of feeling the strength, the security, the beauty of what you are creating between one another, but navigating in a way that you're being very careful in how you affect or change something to it, recognizing that something must be changed, something must be adapted to occupy the space of what you're feeling, like the confines of what you may have initially described for one another. It doesn't feel like it can contain it anymore. It feels like that change is inevitable, but doing so in a way that is very considerate and compassionate is almost, again, that act of offering, that gift of presenting, that ability to show something to another and say, this is how I feel. Do you feel the same? While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is in separation, this is a perceptual shift. This is the energy that's feeling that sense or that ability to move forward right now, because this is not the energy that is moving towards an energetic connection, looking towards someone and saying that there's that need or desire to modify or adapt or change a counterpart energy if you're not seeing the qualities and characteristics that you would hope to embody in an ideal counterpart energy. Rather, this is the energy that is holding the manifestation goal deep within their heart, moving with that manifestation of being like, I'll recognize it when I see it. And if I don't recognize it, it's probably not there. As opposed to saying, if something isn't being expressed in an individual, saying, wow, maybe I need to adapt, maybe I need to change my modality, maybe I need to adjust what I'm doing, maybe I need to change myself, maybe I need to try to change them. This is the energy that is, again, holding firm within their own stability. And again, that feels a little bit difficult and different between masculine and feminine energy. For masculine, it is more of that softening. it is more of that vulnerability. It's more of that affirmation to the self of doing the work in oneself that says, as long as I'm moving in a way or space or place where I am maintaining my integrity and being authentic, doing everything I can to continue to stay vulnerable, to keep my heart open and soft, that is the ability that allows the feminine to be able to find me. While for feminine energy, this is the feminine energy coming into that modality of saying, as long as I am resilient, as long as I navigate my energetic standards, as long as I hold firm in terms of what it is that I'm seeking in energetic counterpart, then I will find the energy that matches my own energetic standards. So these energies right now coming in separation are almost moving in the modality of feeling like they're starting to enter the divine union within the self that is effectively allowing them to be able to see it and recognize it in those that are potentially coming towards them. Second card in our 5-card spread for today is, not surprised to see it, we had this card up yesterday. We've got here our Devil card. So this is hard, and I needed to stress this yesterday. This was very important. I needed to stress this yesterday. I'm going to stress this today, especially for masculine energy, but also all across the board. If feeling a lot of emotionality triggers unhealthy coping mechanisms, bad modalities of thought, unhealed karmic energy, I really want you to recognize, and this is the important thing about that, it's not the fact that that needs to go away, but being able to recognize it in the self, being able to observe it there. This is an energy that is moving in the direction of that. That is the energy that is facing that stands as a barrier in order to move towards where you know your heart is guiding you. So we see even now that for a lot of the energy that is coming, that is in separation, feeling that motivation, we even saw it over the last few days, having that modality of saying, I'm going in the direction, like I feel that ability to want to go towards something that feels like it's not what I want. This is the energy that almost recognizes it from within, because that is the difference between moving towards something that feels like it creates immediate satisfaction, something that creates immediate joy that doesn't necessarily lead to long-term bliss. So what is the perspective that we see is occurring right now for a lot of the energy in separation? It's not that that feeling ever goes away, but the ability to feel that inclination, the ability to face that, the ability to see it in the self, and then recognize and amplify in that moment of being able to observe it instead of just grabbing for it. That is the moment that the energy is really amplifying and articulating. I told you, recognizing that the choices that they're making right now are ones that feel like they're difficult because it feels like they're not moving towards what feels easy, but doesn't feel like it's positive for you. It's almost facing and encountering the inclination, but not letting it motivate the direction. Well, and that's hard, that's difficult, right? For feminine, that's more of that act of resiliency. For masculine, that's more of that ability of just allowing oneself to feel it instead of allowing oneself to come into reactivity to it. For masculine, and being able to hold oneself in the center of compassion as you do it, that's a lot of the energy right now that is working through their healing, because it's that observation that when we heal, it's not that everything becomes energetically perfect, it's that we become better in those moments that we feel that inclination that doesn't feel like it's driving us forth towards our manifestation goals. And the way that we are able to navigate it allows us to bring in the quality and the amplitude of choices. This is why we see even now that a lot of the energy, we talked about it yesterday, as opposed to moving towards their immediate inclination, almost like phoning a friend, if you will, or almost reaching out energetically to the energy around them that they see and recognize hold their manifestation goals or moving in the direction of what they effectively or energetically desire for the self. This is the energy that, again, is getting that perspective potentially from energy that is in the divine union frequency. Do you see how these energies help and assist one another along the way? While for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union, a lot of that work that we're seeing right now, this is why this is being amplified by an ability of recognizing the ability of having a hard conversation, but not being misunderstood in one's intentions and motivations. Because you'll remember that one of the things that we saw and recognized was occurring for a lot of the energy within the divine union was trying to be very clear in articulating what the manifestation goals were in relationality to what one could expect from another. Again, that commitment that goes beyond words, that's almost that point of articulating that you're prioritizing integrity and clarity to one another to be able to build the cornerstone of the strong relationship. If these are energies that suddenly they're recognizing that what they hope to manifest with someone is changing, it's expanding, this is the energy that's trying to present it to the counterpart, but in a way that doesn't feel like it serves the self, and in a way that doesn't feel like it's misunderstood or misaligned. This is the energy that's trying to articulate that that motivation is based on the expansion and the expression of the love that they feel for the other individual, because a lot of this energy is also navigating, again, some of their own resistance point in doing so, some of their own anxiety and fear in being able to articulate that, right? So we see even now, this is almost that state or space that requires a difficult but vulnerable conversation. But finding a way to do so is almost the energy that is considering the best way to bring it forth in a way wherein the clarity, wherein the intentionality of what one is trying to articulate does not damage what is already is so valuable, what is already so integral, because this is the energy that's almost trying to say to the counterpart, I want to change something, not because something is wrong, but because it is so precious to me that I hope that it can grow. And I hope that you can share in that same desire in being able to expand something even further. So we see even now, like that's a little bit of that, like again, facing one's own self, introspecting in order to recognize and articulate and calibrate how best to bring something forth to a counterpart. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, deep within the divine union frequency, this is a lot of energy that is coming to the aid and the support of the energy that feels like they're navigating those difficulties outside of the divine union frequency by giving energy that may be feeling like they have blinders on, that may be feeling like they are overwhelmed, that may be feeling like there's too much fear, that may be feeling like there's too much anger, that may be feeling like there's too much anxiety. What do these feelings do? These energies, these negative energies, they act as blinders. What does the energy of anxiety and fear say to the self? It says there's only one possibility. There's only one direction. There's only one way something can go, and it's down. There's only one way something can go, and it's down. So what is the energy doing right now that is feeling some of that vibration? The energy within the divine union is opening the sides of clarity. They're offering advice, they're offering support, they're showing and they're revealing the possibilities that are surrounding the energy that's in that modality to say, you are not in darkness, you are not in a point of difficulty. There is light all around you so long as you keep your eyes open to being able to seek it out. So we see even now that for a lot of the energy within the divine union, trying to help and lend support to those in that modality is almost like, again, it's amplifying their own hope. It feels like a continuation of what they feel for one another, that they're able to provide that clarity and almost articulate and say, I also was once in that space. I also was once in that modality. I was also once in that fear. I was also once in that anxiety. But the ability to continue and recognize and to continue forward in that modality, this is the gift that the energy within the divine union is providing to the energy that's feeling that heaviness right now. And it's like throwing a blanket off and saying, like, make sure that you're not hiding under the covers. Make sure that you look around and see all the possibilities that are surrounding you. Third card in our 5-card spread for today, transverse sliding off the deck. We've got here, again, 2 of Cups in its transverse. So I'm going to say it again. A lot of the energy within the divine union right now is helping energy outside the divine union frequency navigate their own hurdles, their own uncertainties in relation to energetic connections. This is that act of giving. This is that act of giving forth. This is that act of providing perception, clarity, insight, right? So for a lot of the energy right now, wherein again, they may be struggling through relationship circumstances or situations with others, wherein they're feeling, again, that anxiety, that inviolability, that uncertainty, that fear that may start to feel like it's overriding the perception. What is the energy doing right now to help aid and support the energy outside the divine union that may be feeling that? They're offering their clarity. They're offering their perception. They're offering their perspective. They're giving them the ability to perceive from the perspective that they have within the divine union frequency, to help them recognize that the possibilities are there, to help them recognize and amplify what feels like it is productive, what feels like it is helping, what feels like it is positive, versus what feels like it is unhealthy, what feels like it is creating the fear-based mindset, what feels like it is damaging. So even that ability, we see even now, that ability to, again, and this is that modality where we see even now the energy within the divine union isn't being prescriptive. They're not being prescriptive. They're not saying, you got to do it this way. If it's not this way, it's not good. If it's not this way, it's not good. It is giving their insight and saying, there's no one that can determine that but you yourself. But we want to provide you the clarity and the context and the insight that we have learned in our own journey to coming into union, to help you navigate and recognize what feels like it is beneficial for you versus what feels like it is damaging to you. Because there's only one person that truly recognizes that from within, and that is the internal self. While for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union frequency, this is the boat getting rocked. This is the boat getting rocked by the emotions that one is feeling. The boat was solid. You guys had a good boat. The boat is nice and solid, and that's the problem. What we see that is effectively happening right now for a lot of energy that is coming into divine union. Imagine there's like some people on a boat, and they're like, this boat is not big enough, and we're on the ocean. We need to make the boat bigger. I need to make the boat bigger, but I don't want to damage the boat. I don't want to damage the boat. I want to make the boat bigger. Can we do that in a way that does not mess up the boat? Like, that is basically the kind of the articulation that's happening right now for a lot of the energy within the divine union. It starts with being like, would you like a bigger boat? I feel like it's a little cramped in this boat. And the other person's like, I think it's a little cramped too. I feel like feminine energy is like, I am brave enough. I think we can make the boat bigger. Masculine's like, I'm really worried. There's a lot of water around us. There's a lot of emotions here. So these energies are like, basically they're having that conversation in terms of how to basically expand the boat, if you will. They expand the relationship, change what they've already created that is very stable and solid, but doing so with a lot of care and consideration as to what could potentially go wrong in the process, right? So that is good, because you shouldn't just move into something blindly. You want to be mindful of all of the pitfalls that may occur in changing something, so that you can make sure that you can address them appropriately as you go. Well, for masculine and feminine energy right now that is in separation, this is a lot of the energy right now. I gotta say, the energy right now in separation is the energy that is in the binary. Like the energy in the binary, the breakthrough that's happening for a lot of the energy in separation right now is just navigating circumstances and situations from the point of view of the binary, from the point of view of recognizing. And this is the beautiful transformation that we see that a lot of the energy within separation is having right now, which is almost that modality of recognizing and saying, if I encounter something someone and I desire something and they do not desire it in kind, and I choose to make the intentional choice of staying in that modality, what I'm basically saying is I'm letting go, I'm relinquishing my manifestation goal by saying I want to stay in this modality regardless, no matter what. And this is the energy that's recognizing and saying, when I move in the vibration of not holding the manifestation goal as my template, and when I'm not able to articulate upon what that template is with the potential counterpart, what I'm effectively allowing myself to enter is a situation or scenario where the instability, the uncertainty of what is occurring between me and the counterpart becomes the manifestation goal. It becomes the manifestation goal that is built upon fear, because it becomes the manifestation goal and saying, I hope this is going in the direction that I hope it will go. I don't have any way of knowing. It could be going either way. It could be going up or down. I'm literally sitting here in a relationship with someone going, I hope it's going up. I can't ask them about whether it's going up, or I tried to ask them and they won't tell me if it's going up or not. This is the energy that basically is saying that the manifestation goal is allowing for the change within, because the observation of even now feeling that sense of feeling that point of ideality or like ability of saying like, you know, why do I feel that desire to go towards someone that doesn't provide clarity? This is the energy that may be either looking about that from past experiences or circumstances, or maybe even now moving or separating away from circumstances in that modality, because it requires that act of introspection. It requires that act of understanding. So even now we see that there's a lot of the energy in separation that is building forth into new connections, starting to build that work again, having a bit of that uncertainty, because honestly, one of the things that is unavoidable to a certain extent is when we first build into an energetic connection with someone, we can never be 100% certain as to where something will go, right? Trust is something that is grown. Trust is something that is shared. Clarity is something that is given. Clarity takes time. So if these are new energies that are coming into partnership at this time, that ability of taking it slow, taking those baby steps towards one another, a bit of that anxiety and trepidation, well, it's to be a bit expected, right? Because that is almost the confidence that's needed in terms of taking that chance, taking that, letting yourself move into that possibility. But we see right now that a lot of the energy in separation is navigating those new connections from a place of bravery, from a place of discernment, from a place of care of the self, that is being very conscientious of the self, even as they start to build those new energetic connections. Fourth card in our 5-card spread for today is, we've got here our 10 of Pentacles in its reversal. Masculine and feminine energy that is in separation. One of the hurdles that the masculine and feminine energy are experiencing right now is when you move forward into like out into the world to try to make new energetic connections. Again, what happens is this energy right now is focusing very firmly on their manifestation goal. They're letting that manifestation goal guide them. And so again, a little bit of that perceptual shift that we see that is occurring right now is the recognition point of a lot of the energy in separation in terms of just accessing and observing. Not everybody has the same manifestation goal. And being able to recognize and identify the difference between the energy that is authentically carrying forth their manifestation goal, desiring the same as you yourself, versus the energy that may not necessarily feel like it's in accordance with your own manifestations. This can sometimes feel somewhat overwhelming. This is why we see even now that for a lot of the energy in separation, this is almost the energy going, I don't want to do this again. I don't want to do this again. I don't want to do this again, because it's a hard process, right? It's okay though, because if it's a hard process, that act of discernment, that is why it is a difficult process. And the fact, and I have to say this, and this is what's hard about right now, if the energy is moving into that, feeling that like desire of not desiring to do so, that's probably the energy that's very equipped right now to come into divine union, because that is the energy that doesn't see the realm of possibility as a gift, that doesn't go, woo, I get to keep all my options open. This is the energy that says, I know what I'm seeking in an authentic connection. I know what is right for me. And I have to kind of wade through the crowd, if you will, to try to find the energetic counterpart that matches my own vibration and relationality to what it is that I desire. But what do we see is happening right now in that modality? Those energies are seeking each other out. Those energies are feeling the exact same way about the process. They're forcing themselves to engage in a process that they find energetically distasteful to a certain extent. But the energy that is forcing themselves to engage in a process that feels energetically distasteful is exactly probably the energy that is right for one another, because that is the energy that's seeking divine union. Masculine and feminine energy right now. And again, seeking advice and support from those around them to help lift their spirits as they go. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is coming into divine union, this is why the energy right now is having a moment of like, I want to say that hard, vulnerable conversation, because this is the energy that is in coming into divine union right now that already feel like there's so much stability. This is almost the energy that goes, everything's going so well. I feel bad, but I want to tell you I want to change this, because what I thought I initially wanted isn't enough now, because everything is going so well. This is the analogy of, again, it's like the crab, it's like the Cancerian crab being like tossed in the water, which is basically saying like they're on the boat. They're like, this boat's great. It's just not big enough. We need to make the boat bigger, but we also don't want to damage the boat in the process. So that ability of recognizing that ability of navigating, that ability of going through that process of trying to navigate how to do so, how to expand upon something with care, with discernment. All of that anxiety is actually put to good use, you see here, because this isn't the energy that is like seeking the expansion point as a means to the end. This is the energy that's almost saying to one another, the preserving of the energetic connection is the priority. The preserving of the energetic connection is the priority here. Regardless of what shape that takes, this is almost the energy saying, as long as this boat stays stable in whatever form it is, this is what I aspire and desire. So this is the energy that's almost trying to articulate and build together in relationality to potentially adjusting and adapting those manifestation goals in a way that feels comfortable for one another, wherein they don't feel like they're sacrificing what they've created, that strong bond that's starting to take form in the process. While for masculine and feminine energy that is deep within the divine union frequency right now, a lot of this energy is giving this support to those around them. A lot of this energy is basically lending their own perspective, potentially and particularly to those energies that are surrounding the divine union, that are feeling some of that uncertainty right now. Again, either the energy that is feeling, again, something that is going well, but one needs to change it because it's going well, or the energy that's in separation that is feeling that sense of being like, I don't want to do this again. I feel like this is not going to go well. This is the energy that's saying keep one's spirits up. Keep one's spirits up, keep one's hope alive. Remember and hold that. And so even the presence of the energy within the divine union frequency, that in itself, that is almost, again, that is that proof of form, if you will. A lot of the energy is almost, again, and this is why the energy within the divine union isn't becoming prescriptive. They're not saying you have to do it this way. This is the only way it works. This is the energy within the divine union saying, this is what worked for us. This is what helped us through those same problems. This is what helped us through these same hurdles. Because the energy that's within the divine union recognizes that path because they had to walk it in order to come into divine union. So this is almost the energy that's kind of articulating upon their own path, upon their own experience, to try to help the energy that they recognize is still moving forward into that direction. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Fifth card in our 5-card spread for today is 5 of Pentacles in its reversal. A lot of work right now on the abandonment wounds, a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear, a lot of that negative thinking that needs to be, again, recognized for what it is. When that anxiety motivates us, it often moves us in the direction oppositional to love. It moves us in a direction oppositional to what we desire, right? So what is the energy within the divine union doing right now? The energy within the divine union is even if they're seeing that expression in those around them, they're not trying to be prescriptive on it. They're trying to help someone through it. They're trying to help them recognize it for themselves. Because this isn't like, even here, if this is an energy that's like, if this is the divine union frequency, helping energies that are moving through separation right now, and they're feeling that negativity. They're feeling that sense of saying, I don't know if it's ever going to happen to me. I feel like it's always going to be bad. I feel like it's always bad. I feel like nothing's good enough. I feel like I never find the right person. I feel like this is the energy going, that's your abandonment wound talking. That's that abandonment wound that's telling you that you're outside of something. Imagine that you're already within it. Imagine that you already have it. Imagine that it's there. You just need to seek it out. This is the energy that's reaffirming to the energy that's feeling that and saying, and why and how is the energy doing that? It's reaffirming to the energy in that modality saying, I feel that too. I feel that too. All of us feel that. That is not the thing that binds you together, is the thing that makes you feel like you are alone. The thing that binds you together is the thing that makes you feel like you are alone. That is what we all share. So this is almost the energy within the divine union, almost articulating to the energy outside the divine union and saying, I have felt that too. I still feel that. That comes in waves. That ability to navigate that is not allowing it to override oneself. It's being able to face it, to observe it, to encounter it when it occurs, but not letting it propel you in the direction that it tells you is the only direction that you can go into. That ability to recognize it, to face it, and then to choose against it, to move towards the love, to move towards the harmony, to move to the possibility of an energetic connection. This is what a lot of the energy right now within the divine union is doing to help motivate either the energy that is trying to build deeper into the divine union right now, or the energy in separation that is feeling the struggle or the frustration in terms of continuing forth in separation. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is coming into divine union, a lot of that energy coming into divine union right now is feeling that anxiety point, because this is almost the energy that's trying to articulate to someone, I want to change something, but the priority of maintaining it is the priority. This isn't something that necessarily needs to change. The priority is preserving the connection, but doing so in a way that allows for that expansion point, just doing so in a way that allows for that possibility, because this is the energy, and this is why it feels so different. This is an energy saying to one another, I'd like to change something because this isn't working for me. This is the energy that's saying, this has become so important to me that the ability to prioritize it is becoming my main priority. This is the energy that almost says the things outside of this are not the priority. It is the thing that we are creating within. That's why I want to grow it further. That's why I want to expand it. Well, for masculine and that's hard. That's difficult, because that ability, almost again, trying to articulate in such a way of not making it feel like one is trying to damage what one has, but trying to build into the enthusiasm of what it could be. That's why we see even now, that's a little bit of that rough terrain, because that often can bring forward anxieties, doubts, fears, situations from the past that didn't necessarily move in that same vibration, but looked similar. So being able to navigate the energetic discernment right now between an energetic connection that wishes to change something in a positive way because of the sense of something feeling so stable that it's opening the possibilities, as opposed to, again, the energy of the past of someone basically saying, this isn't working for me, I want to change this, I want to do this differently. Those are different expressions. They can often look very similar, but the difference in the vitality is one wants to expand, one wants to grow, one wants to evolve. One would probably be that old energy of changing something because of the inability to move forward. So we see even now that this could be a lot of the energy that's unpacking the vulnerability of doing this type of energetic work, because often those doubts and those fears and those insecurities arise within us. But what's happening for the energy coming into divine union, all those past experiences wherein something didn't work are now creating the template. You're now looking at them with clarity, because they're now becoming the blueprint that you know what to avoid in order to moving towards what it is that you desire. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is in separation, this is the energy that is facing their own anxieties, their own fears, even in the process of trying to make a new energetic connection. Because that's that modality that I have to say, a lot of the energy that's moving in separation right now, the desire to be in the divine union and almost to feel it around one, but not necessarily to be in it. It can bring up, it can stir up those doubts, those fears, those uncertainties, right? It can bring up all of those parts of ourselves that say, you're not good enough, you're going to be alone, you have to change, you have to do this. This is all of those doubts and fears that are coming through. And what is the energy, right? And even like that ability, and that's why I say even now, if you have unhealthy coping mechanisms, I don't want you reaching for them right now, especially masculine energy, because we saw a lot of that masculine energy going through a lot of that vulnerability yesterday. Articulating, expressing that to those around you, because when you get those blinders on, the blinders aren't going to put you in the direction that's going to be best for you. They're going to move you down into what like feels like the inevitable foregone conclusion. That's the energy that, again, reaching out to others, getting that perspective, getting that ability to recognize that even that path work, though it's difficult, is part of the energetic process. This is the energy that even now, the ability to face what one may have faced in the past, but address it in a different way, allow it to be something that you're observed and then thus empowered through. This is a lot of the energy that is facing their abandonment wound, but also recognizing that the choice to move towards it is a choice, not an inevitability. Clarification between these cards right now, between our Four of Cups in combination with our Devil card in its upright. One card to clarify. Okay, we've got two cards popping out because we had a bunch of them. This one needs to come out too, because this one was heads face up when those cards fell. We've got here again the Six of Cups and the Hermit card. This is really beautiful, because what we're effectively is seeing that's happening for a lot of the energy in separation is the affirmation of saying to oneself, especially in that modality wherein, again, they feel that ability to want to run towards an unhealthy karmic connection, an unhealthy coping mechanism, a bad modality of thought, something that is easy but not nourishing, something that feels good but does not give back in full. This is the energy that is maintaining the manifestation in separation. Better to be a healthy energetic connection, or better to be in solitude with one's own energy. Better to be in a healthy karmic connection than or preserve my own energetic frequency in that modality, because a lot of that energy is navigating forward with a lot of that discernment in relationality to what they're feeling, and that ability of saying, I don't want to have to enter a relationship where I feel like I must change myself out of what I'm already feeling. That ability is not something that I want to do. It comes at too high a price. This is the energy that's almost recognizing that and saying, I'm not making that choice because it comes at too high a price. So this is the energy that is prioritizing both their own energetic frequency and also really navigating, not just looking at how they feel towards someone, but looking at the qualities and characteristics of the thread that binds them to another energetic person, to say either the healthy connection, either that blessed connection, or the connection with the self that's blessed. And that's the energy that, again, doesn't say I'm alone. That's the energy that says I'm staying and I'm maintaining that energetic frequency. That is the energy that is prioritizing the energy of the self, that is helping them seek out the energy that allows them to expand the self further in an energetic connection. And even now, it doesn't mean that you don't feel that ability, you don't feel that desire, you don't feel that inclination to move towards what feels like it's immediately gratifying but not nourishing. So that's really the word that, like, we see that a lot of the energy within the divine union frequency is saying is like, is that nourishing? Is what I'm trying to reach for actually going to fill me? Or is it just going to put a bomb on something, right? So this is the energy that's almost like withholding, like observing the tendency or inclination to move towards what feels like it is like not healthy, while also keeping one's focus and direction towards what is. While for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union, a lot of this energy coming into divine union right now, this is why the energy is supporting each other through this. Because this is potentially like the ability to speak or hear something here, of feeling something that someone is articulating and they're saying that they want to change. It can be triggering, right? It can create those moments of anxiety, but this is why someone's saying that even now there's a clarity and insight that someone is potentially having of past moments where someone desired a change within the context of a connection. Because this is the difference that the energy is recognizing between someone who wants to change something to serve their own needs, to serve their own manifestation goals, right? That feeling of someone trying to like calibrate but not do something with another, versus the energy that's currently in a modality where they're articulating, they're navigating, they're prioritizing the connection, the sanctity of the connection beyond all. And it doesn't require that energetic change. This is almost the energy that says, I'm so satisfied with what we've created here. I would love to expand upon it further, but only in the modality that we do not sacrifice what is already there. Not in the modality that we sacrifice, because this is the energy saying, this has become so precious to me. I want to create more of it, but I don't want to risk losing it in the energetic process. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is deep within the divine union frequency, this is the energy that is acting to help provide that sense of support to the energy around them that is navigating a lot of these hurdles and difficulties. This is a lot of that energy that is effectively putting that work in to help, again, clarify. And even if there's energies right now that are coming towards them with doubts, with uncertainties, either doubts of the self, anxieties about how they want to shift or change connections, anything here. This is the energy that is effectively in the divine union that is lending their own insight. lending their own perspective. But what's important about the energy within the divine union is the energy within the divine union isn't being prescriptive. They're not saying you can only do it this way. This is the only way that works. That's it. Like, this is the energy that says, this is what worked for us. We go through that too. We've experienced those moments. Those moments don't go away. This is what we do to navigate them effectively. So this is either the energy within the divine union articulating upon their past path work that helped them be where they are in terms of the connection that they have energetically, or this is the energy right now that is lending support to someone that is very much in that point of darkness where it's hard for them to see the light, by giving them almost like, again, lifting their head up and being like, hey, you can't see anything. The eyes up here. You can't see anything down there. Why are you looking down? Look around you. Look at the possibilities. Remember that those possibilities are there. Don't go in the direction that negative talk is telling you to go. Continuing to go give clarity on these cards right now. Between the Devil card in its upright and our Two of Cups in its transverse. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Three of Pentacles in its upright. So again, masculine and feminine energy. What's really beautiful about this, bearing in mind it's not based on gender, but what do you feel most aligned to? A lot of the energy in this modality is lending their support. Is lending their support to the energy around them that needs it right now. And I need to stress this because this isn't the energy that's doing it for the energy outside the divine union. This isn't the energy being like, get out of the way, I'll do it. No, this is the energy that says, listen, if you ever need to talk about this, if you ever need to work something through, if you ever need a moment to like lean against something, remember, that's what we're here for. That ability of recognizing, that ability. And so even here, the ability of the energy that's either, again, coming into divine union right now, or the energy that is in separation, the ability of looking towards the energy in the divine union and getting lean their back on it a little, being able to utilize, almost touch it for a minute and be like, okay, there it is. I can see it. It's there. It's present. That is the energy that feels reaffirmed. It feels remotivated because that is the energy that feels that stability. And it's that moment of saying, like, it's there, it's achievable, it's right there, like it's solid. It's not something. It's not a fairy tale. It's tangible. And so that's the energy that, again, it's for the energy being able to reach toward. And this is why I'm saying even now, for energy and separation, reaching out to others in that modality right now will help through any of those difficulties, because that ability of being like, that's terra firma right there. That's not a pipe dream. That's a thing. That's a thing that's achievable. Like, that's an ability that they even here, that is the energy right now. That, again, helping the energy within the divine union. Again, almost saying we are not energetically perfect, but we continue to build forth in that way. That's how the energy within the divine union is articulating and building forward and helping others find that for themselves to a certain degree. While for the energy coming into the divine union right now, this is the energy that's looking towards one another and saying, what are we building together? And that's why we see even now a lot of that energy experiencing or encountering that moment of excitement, because that's the energy that's again, in the moment that you're saying to one another, what we have is so stable. I'd like to renovate. I'd like to make it bigger. Like, that is the energy that recognizes the difference between that act feeling like an act of demolition versus an act of renovation. Because that's almost the energy that's speaking to one another, saying, how do we make this, how do we, like, this is no longer matching the confines. It's already not feeling big enough. So what do we have to do to make this energetically bigger? Let's talk about that. Let's understand the shape of it. So this is a lot of the energy that's even, again, the energy coming into divine union, talking about what exists between them, almost like that third person, that thing that exists, that thing that is tangible, that exists between them, the unseen walls of that energetic commitment. This is the energy that's describing what that looks like so that they can talk about how to expand upon it. While for masculine, while doing so, and again, not saying that the end goal of that is the desire, but saying that the maintaining the cornerstone, maintaining the foundation of what you're creating with another is the priority. That is the energy that in the moment of having that is able to heal from any experiences wherein someone was trying to do that just to be able to maintain a means to an end. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is in separation. For masculine and feminine energy right now, that is in separation. The energy in separation right now, this is the energy that is feeling that, like they're feeling that weight of relief. This is the energy that, again, even as they're having that modality, even as they're feeling that like desire or need to reach towards what is, like I want to say, potentially easily energetically accessible, but not healthy. This is the energy that's like stopping themselves in the process and going, no, because that's the energy that's reaffirming their commitment to what they truly want, that is helping them recognize their tendency. You know, it's like trying to reach for the sweets in the cupboard. You're like, I know I want that, but that's not what's going to fulfill me. So we see even now that a lot of that ability of doing so, this is the energy that says, I can feel the changes within me. And the change that's happening within the energy in separation is that resilience. It's the resilience to still feeling that inclination, but not rushing towards it, moving towards what feels like it's stable, as opposed to what feels like it's easily accessible. Continuing to get clarification and recognizing the nature of that. And that's the energy that almost says to themselves, that's probably never going to go away. There's always going to be that inclination within us to reach for what feels like it's not nourishing, but immediately, like why do we hold on to things that are unhealthy for us? Because they create immediate gratification. So what is the energy within separation doing right now if they're feeling that need or desire to move towards something that creates immediate gratification? They're recognizing and saying, that's immediate gratification. I'm focusing on what I'm building. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our 2 of Cups in its transverse and our 10 of Pentacles in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification, please, coming through right now with our 5 of Wands in its upright. It's hard, I know. It's hard. It's not easy. It's hard. Like, it's almost like that's all you can say about it. It's not ideal. And so even for the energy and separation, I can see even now the energy within separation is bulking at what they have to go through to be able to try to find an energetic connection. This is literally the energy in separation, like almost like wanting to turn their energetic nose up towards the possibility of moving forward to be able to try to find those energetic connections. Because this is the energy that's like, it's like, you know, it doesn't feel like a positive environment in doing so, right? It doesn't create that space of harmony, because it feels like there's so much of that energy that doesn't aspire and desire to, in the same way that one does. But the difference and the hurdle here that we're seeing to a certain extent is this is the energy that, again, is focusing. And even now we see here that that's a lot of the energy, recognizing the temptation to like reach for what feels like it's immediately accessible, as opposed to what feels like it's building upon that foundation. So this is the energy. And I have to say, do you see how both of these energies right now, masculine and feminine, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, this is a lot of that energy right now that is in separation, that is saying to themselves, the energetic connection I'm seeking is doing the same thing right now. The energy that I'm seeking, they can't stand this either. The energy that I'm seeking is like struggling in those streets. They're struggling in those streets. So this is the energy that's almost motivating themselves by saying, I know that person is doing the same thing I am. Because if they're in alignment with me, then I'm doing what they're doing. We're both going through it together. So again, this is almost the energy that feels like they're in divine union, because they're reminding themselves and saying, as much as I hate this, I know the person who's really out there for me, they hate it too. In fact, their own displeasure about it is probably how I'm going to find them. Like, that's how I'm going to find them, because they're going to share my opinion on this when we encounter one another. Like, they're going to share that feeling. And so this is the energy that now feels like that motivation, because they're like, I got to go out there and help them. I got to go out there and help them. You know, it's like that Lionheart speech. It's like, I got to go out there and rescue them from that, because they're out there too. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is coming into divine union, a lot of the energy that we're seeing here, this is a lot of unpacking that's potentially happening right now. If these are energies that are looking to, like, that ability of wanting to maintain what feels like it's perfect, but also recognizing that you can't remain in that space. It's almost the energy that feels like that inevitability of what's forming between you. Because the energy right now, it's almost saying, like, you know, that ability of feeling that expansion point. And I need to stress this. It's not that feeling of saying this isn't enough. It's not that feeling when you're with someone and saying something here's not right. Something here's not right. This is the energy that feels like the conditions or the circumstances have become too limiting. They feel it's like scratchy sweater energy. It's like scratchy sweater energy, because it feels like, again, everything around you is now interfering with what you want between you. So we see even now, like, a lot of that energy going through that process of speaking about how they can change or adjust something to be able to feel it's not as confining, because that's the energy that's almost navigating that with a point of joy. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is deep within the divine union frequency, a lot of this energetic work that we're seeing right now is lending that energetic support to any of the energy either coming into divine union right now or energy in separation. Giving them that advice, saying, we felt like that too. We also felt like that was distasteful. We also felt that struggle point. How do you think we found each other? Like, you know, like, that's almost the energy saying, yeah, that's the thing. Because often it's, again, you know, two wrongs make a right, in the sense when the energy looks around and says, this isn't wrong, that everything here is wrong. And then they bump into each other and go, do you feel the same way I do? And and that person goes, yeah, I totally do. And they go, you want to go grab a coffee? And that person goes, I'd love to. Let's get out of here. Like, that's the energy that, like, that is almost the energy of the divine union frequency, because it's that energy of, again, everything else feeling wrong, and then feeling the energy that, like, is in alignment in a certain degree, because that's almost the frequency of being, like, that's the recognition of coming into attunement to a certain extent, because it doesn't feel like you're there for everybody. It feels like everybody is like, meh. Like, it's like, everything else is like, and you see one another and you go, ah. So even here we see that that's a lot of the energy that's trying to say to the energy coming into those frequencies, both for the energy that's trying to change something and the energy in separation. This is almost the energy in divine union saying, like, we've also encountered those moments, and this is how they were able to navigate them. This is how the energy within the divine union addressed it. But this is almost the energy that, again, is articulating what that is, to say, you'll find your path too, because each path is different. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our 10 of Pentacles in its reversal and our 5 of Pentacles in its upright. Ugh, I hate these cards together, but it's fine. We're going to deal with them. All right. One card to clarify, please. 2 cards coming out. We got so many cards popping out today. Strength card and our 3 of Wands. Okay, this is really important here, because this is effectively, this is a lot of, like, what the energy within the divine union is articulating to a lot of the energy either that is potentially coming towards them for support right now, particularly in the realm of relationships. This is the energy that almost says, I know it's going to sound a little bit impossible, but that's because until you see it, you won't recognize it. Right? This is the energy that's almost saying, it's hard to energetically put into words, right? Because if you haven't seen it or you haven't felt it, it's hard to recognize, like, articulate how it feels. And it's often easy to misunderstand what that looks like what that perception is. So we see even now, for a lot of the energy in the divine union, This is almost the energy that, again, is almost amplifying and saying energetically towards those that are feeling more defeatist right now, that are feeling more like that proneness to move in the direction of that anxiety, that fear, that feeling of being outside of something, almost articulating and saying, it's in that moment, you shouldn't listen to what your fear's telling you. You should think about where you want to go. Don't let the fear guide you. Ask yourself, what direction am I headed? Are you going to follow your fear? Is your fear's going like, go down here? Like, you don't follow your fear. Don't listen to that guy. Like, don't listen to that guy. That's the energy saying, when those anxieties and those fears rise up, recognizing that a fear is there. A fear is supposed to be there to provide a tool. A fear is supposed to be there to provide a point of caution, to create something of protective space. But when we are motivated entirely from our fears, then our fears become all we can see. So we see even now, like, that's a lot of the energy within the divine union, staying and speaking and giving that sense of hope to the energy that's feeling that to a certain extent, and says, they're not saying, just take my word for it. They're basically saying to the energy right now, coming into divine union and in separation, be strong in the face of your fear. Be strong in the face of your fear. Recognize that you are not your fear. You are your hope. If you you can be your fear. If you let your fear become all of you, then you will be your fear. But you can also let yourself become hope. You also can let yourself become possibility. So we see even now, like, this is the energy that, again, is trying to, pick someone's head up here. There's a lot of this, hey, look up, look around you, see all the possibilities. You're not going to see anything staring at that thing. You're just looking at the ground. Look up, look around you, see the possibilities. Be ready to be surprised. Don't feel that sense of hopelessness. Say, I am ready to be surprised. Surprise me. Tell the universe to surprise you. Say, I'm leaving myself open to be divinely surprised. And when all hope was lost, I left myself open to be divinely surprised, because sometimes that's all you need to do. That's the minute that you can turn the page on the chapter where everything was really dark, saying, and then, don't let that say the end. Let that say, and then, the end and then are just depending on where you decide to stop. So we see even now, a lot of that energy saying, what is the energy saying to the energy that's feeling a little bit of that hopelessness? They're saying, maybe that's not an end. Maybe that's, and then let that be the moment that everything turns. So we see even now, that's a lot of the energy right now within the divine union, helping energy outside the divine union that is feeling the weight of that overwhelm and saying, don't listen to the abandonment wound that says, this is all you'll ever be. Listen to the voice that says, this is the beginning of what you will become. This was the moment that everything changed. This is the moment that everything shifted. Every moment gives that possibility. You have to move towards that direction. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is coming into divine union, this is the anxiety. This is the healthy fear. I got to stress this. This is the healthy fear. This is the fear being utilized as a tool. This is the fear being utilized as like a wrench. This is now the energy that's reaching into the fear and saying, oh, look, the fear gave me a shovel. Oh, look, the fear gave me some nails. Because this is the energy that is looking towards one another and saying, what we have between us is so valuable and important, but it's gotten a little tight. We need to make some adjustments. We need to do something different. And I know we might be changing things in ways that we can't prepare. So what are we going to do? Let's look at the fear. Nope, come back here, fear. Like, they're grabbing the fear. Now they're chasing after the fear. They're grabbing the fear, saying, come over here. And they're looking at all of it to say, these are all the things that could go wrong. Let's make sure that they don't. Thank you, fear. Thank you, fear. Well, thank you, fear. Just stay here for a minute. Let me see you. Okay, this is all the stuff that could happen. Actually, this happened to me a week ago. I know where the fear is. This happened to me 2 years ago. Here it is. All right, there it is. Okay, this is what we have to be careful of, right? So this is the energy right now that's navigating that, and the discernment, the gentleness, the care, the ability to recognize and be conscientious. The conscientiousness is the articulation of what is precious. And if you don't hold fear to a certain extent, Like, that's why fear is important, because fear also shows us what we are precious of. So this is the energy that's feeling the anxiety and fear that's radiating off of another. That is the amplification, but the discernment and gentleness of addressing it is what is articulating the ability of saying, I see that this is not us moving towards fear. I see that this is us moving towards joy, because we're encountering the fear that is required in order to change something in a beautiful way. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is in separation, this is the energy that's just like, this is that determination and resiliency of the Cancer energy. This is the energy that's feeling a little bit like not feeling very hopeful right now. But this is the energy that's looking at that more like a room they've entered, going, I don't like it here. Like, this is not a great, like, this is the energy saying, I better go out, I better get out of here. I better get out of this mindset. I got to get out of here. This is the energy going, I got to get out of here. But they're going, I got to get out, they're going, I got to get out of my headspace. I got to get myself out of this funk. I'm not going to listen to what the funk is telling me to do. I'm not going to listen to like the funk that's telling me to just like reach for whatever's like, going to create most gratification now. I'm going to get myself in a place where I know I can find a better headspace. Right? So we see even now that for a lot of the energy, recognizing and seeing, it's not that you don't still feel the things that you may have felt before, but recognizing how you're not navigating them in the same way. This is the energy that is, again, like picking their head up a little bit and saying, I'm not going to see anything if I'm just, the fear creates blinders in me. The fear leads me into that moment of like fear set mentality. I'm going to keep my head open to the possibilities, to the hope. And I'm going to move myself out of this mindset. I'm going to go do whatever I need to do, because clearly something about this moment right now, this is the difference between, this is like someone saying like, I'm feeling a bit of a funk today. I'm going to go talk to someone who's going to get me out of the funk. I'm going to go do something that I know makes me feel like, this is the energy goes, what makes me actually feel better? But not what immediately feels like, what makes me actually feel better instead of what makes me immediately feel good. Those are different things. What makes me actually feel better versus what makes me immediately feel good. Continuing to get clarification in these cards right now. Between. So many cards today. Between our Hermit card in combination with our Six of Cups in its upright, in combination with our Three of Pentacles. Beautiful, beautiful cards in combination to one another. Clarification coming through right now with our Queen of Pentacles. And she's in her upright, which we love to see, because girlfriend was in her reversal a couple days ago, as well as the King of Pentacles in its reversal. So this is the feminine energy. Again, I'm going to say it right now. Feminine energy is having a little bit more of an easy time navigating, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Feminine energy has a little bit more ability to navigate this right now, because feminine energy is concentrating on the practical. Cancer season brings us out a lot. There'll be a lot of focus right now on making adaptations to external environments. Like a lot of this like focus, as it were, in a lot of the changeability points and a lot of that grounding, as it were. Because for the feminine energy, like I said, there's a little bit of the feminine energy that says, I got to make the room right now. And this is the energy saying, like, this is literally the feminine being like, I don't like how it looks in here. like change, like might be a lot of people like doing things around, like a lot of feminine energy doing stuff around the house today. Because this is a lot of the feminine energy that is like doing a lot of this work, if you will, in separation. That like it's like the feminine is coming into that modality. It's like the nesting instinct. It's like the feminine energy is just like, they're making that change around them to help build the feeling of stability within. That's okay. That's all right. That's perfectly fine to do, because that's almost like that act of appreciation that one says like, I appreciate myself enough. I'm going to make this place beautiful. Right? So a lot of that energy right now that we're seeing to a certain extent is the ability of the feminine to take some of that grounded energy around them and to just put it into the practical right now, because this is helping some of the feminine energy ground. This is also like a lot of the feminine energy right now. There's like, I need to stress here This is like feminine energy using a lot of discernment in only communicating in those spaces or places where they feel like those, like, you know, a lot of like working through, like building, like this is feminine energy talking to those energies that are supportive, but a little bit more of this, like this is that crab energy, this is that Cancer energy, a little bit of this like internalization right now, like a lot of this energy that's kind of like in their own zone, if you will. But that isn't necessarily a negative here. That is the energy of the feminine, almost like really grounding through, like creating that sense of stability and support within themselves, even as at the time as they're setting forth to build new energetic connections with others. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is like for masculine energy right now, that is coming into divine, like masculine energy right now in separation. This is the masculine energy that is leading forward right now. This is actually a lot more of the masculine energy right now. Like there's a lot of this energy of like both of these energies right now. It's interesting because this is almost like that act of introspection prior to a new energetic connection being built. Because a lot of this energy is, again, kind of staying in their own sphere today. But masculine is much more in that act of introspection, if you will. Masculine is more in that act of introspection, in relationality to recognizing and identifying, if you will. Like thinking a lot about what feels like it is energetically supportive around them. What feels like, again, what are those connections that feel like they're stabilizing? What are those connections that feel like they're nourishing? But also there's a lot, I need to stress this here. This is a lot of the masculine energy in that act of introspection in separation that thinks a lot about the quality and nature of an energetic connection with feminine, and recognizing that feminine acts as a mirror for the masculine. This is the masculine that's almost reaffirming and saying, if I desired the feminine to be stable, I myself must also be stable. If I desire the feminine to be grounded, I myself must bring forth that act of being grounded. This is the masculine energy, like almost asking themselves, and especially in the relationality to any connections that feel like they were unstable or frayed. This is the masculine being very introspective and saying, am I giving the feminine, again, that act of that questioning and saying, if the feminine is not coming through as stable, then that's something I might need to assess and address, to say, is there something that I could have done differently? Or is that something that I was trying to change? So there's a lot of work right now that we see in terms of the energy, thinking like a masculine energy in particular, thinking a lot about like what they can give forth to feminine, but again, stressing and recognizing here that this is a masculine that recognizes that the masculine doesn't need to give something to the feminine in order for the feminine to feel stable. Rather, this is the masculine energy that is looking towards spaces and places wherein, especially if the feminine energy was stable and then became unstable, like this is almost the masculine energy kind of recognizing and assessing what may have energetically changed there, right? Because this is a lot of the masculine energy coming into that pathwork of really asking oneself what it is that you desire to build with the feminine, so that you can articulate it to the feminine as you go forward from this point. So we see even now, like this is a lot of contemplative, introspective energy right now. But again, in separation, it's grounding. It's building that strong foundation through which a new energetic connection can form. While for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into, and again, and this is almost like, again, much like we saw the masculine energy reaching out towards energy and divine union yesterday, now we see like potentially this is even masculine energy reaching out to stable feminine energy for that energetic support, right? So this is almost like, again, it's like these hallways that are echoing with each other and reverberating, because a lot of this work is building into that sense of resiliency and determination. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is coming into divine union, this is that beautiful energy, because even if there's a modality of change here that's occurring, this is positive change. This is the energy of the feminine that recognizes the difference between like a masculine that's trying to like pull the rug out from under them and suddenly make something like change, like reverse course, as opposed to a masculine that's like articulating that desire to invest further, that desire to build forth more. So for feminine, that's why a lot of this energy right now, it's a bit more stabilizing. Because again, this is the feminine that's feeling that resiliency or that stability that's coming forth. But this is almost the feminine energy recognizing that that's not just happening coincidentally. That's happening because they're in that modality with a masculine, wherein the masculine's allowing the feminine to be their most authentic version of self, and they feel very stable in that modality. And masculine is feeling that ability to be vulnerable with feminine that allows the masculine to want to move forward with feminine in this way. So we see even now a lot of that energy feeling, for feminine, this is more of an act of confidence. For energy, this is more of an act of bravery. And so we see even now for a lot of that feminine energy, like if there's like in that modality, this is the feminine energy that's like not just like, this is the feminine energy articulating to the masculine what makes them feel stable, because they recognize that this is a collaborative process. While for masculine and feminine energy, deep within the divine union frequency, a lot of this work that we see is happening right now is helping those around you through any of those difficulties or hurdles, especially if that modality of someone kind of getting too caught, I want to say too caught in their own energetic headspace. A lot of that energy right now is helping kind of shed that insight, provide that ability, and either again reaffirming someone's own energetic commitments or giving them some clarity if they feel like something that they're reaching for in solitude may feel a little off the mark, right? It's almost like that modality of, again, helping someone move forward by amplifying that they're not energetically alone in the process. Continuing to get clarity on these cards right now between our Three of Pentacles in combination with our Five of Wands in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Four of Wands in its reversal. Now, masculine and feminine energy right now that is deep within the divine union frequency. A bit of this work that we're effectively seeing right now, and this is why the energy in this modality is utilizing so much of this pathwork of discernment, if you will. Because I keep seeing that there's something within the divine union frequency that keeps articulating and not desiring to be prescriptive in relationality to being able to lend support or insight or advice to any energy around them right now that they feel is asking or needing it. Because this is the energy that's almost amplifying again and articulating and saying that they're not energetically perfect. Like this isn't the energy, this is almost the energy that says, you know, this isn't something that's like, this is not a completion point, this is a work in progress, if you will. This is almost the energy saying, you know, we're always in that same state too. Like this is the energy saying that they are constantly in that work of redefining what that is. It's an ongoing process, if you will. So this is even why the energy, if they're trying to lead forward in this way, they're trying to almost amplify and say there's no one direction that one can move towards that can guarantee a particular determined outcome. That's going to be energetically different for everyone. But that's why we see even now like that ability of the energy articulating that is coming in a way of lending support and saying this is what worked for us. This is what created stability for us. This is what's helped us, right? So that's that moment that you're almost saying to someone, you can take it or leave it, because that's not that moment of someone saying, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you what worked for us. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is coming into divine union, this is the energy that, you know, the anxiety or the uncertainty here has to do with the amplification of the energy that feels like their manifestation goals are shifting. But the manifestation goals are almost shifting naturally, because these are the energies of the manifestation that are almost saying to a certain extent that their other manifestation goals, they're great, but they're not the priority. because this is the energy that suddenly feels and says, the satisfaction that I experience here, this is the destination. Where we go from here, a little bit more flexible, because this is the energy that feels like the fulfillment that they found in divine union. That's the energy that says the desire to grow and expand that is present, but the ability to feel it in itself is the energetic gift. So we see even now, that's why it's almost like that sense of like, where do we go from here? Because we see even now, there could be a lot of energy right now coming into divine union that is solidifying partnerships. Because that ability to solidify partnerships is almost the energy that's almost saying to one another and saying, I found everything I'm looking for, right? While for masculine and feminine energy that is in separation, a lot of this energy in separation right now, what we're effectively seeing is a lot of the energy in separation is moving through this modality of recognizing that what they want to receive, they got to like struggle through it. They got to go through, like, it's like you got to go through the muck. You got to go through like a lot of the energy that you know isn't what you desire, but all for the sake of recognizing and identifying and feeling stable for oneself in the process. The more about feeling the stability of oneself, knowing what is for you, helps you recognize what is not for you. So a lot of the energy right now, they feel fortified. That's why there's a little bit of this introspection right now. This is the energy that is fortifying themselves to move into a space that they'd rather avoid in order to find that energetic counterpart. And this is the energy saying like in order to find what I'm looking for, I got to go through something that I don't like, right? So even here, this is the energy is like, then that's why we see even now, like there's like that moment of like introspection and with the self to a certain extent, because it's the energy that's like fortifying themselves to like go forward, as it were. Continuing to clarification between our 5 of Wands in its upright in combination with our Strength card. May I please have one card to clarify, please? Clarification coming through right now with our King of Cups. Look at the combination of cards that we have today. We've got here our Queen of Pentacles and our King of Cups in its upright. So masculine and feminine energy right now in separation. Do you see how both of these energies right now in separation, they're fortifying themselves to kind of go out seeking one another right now? It's the energy that is building that sense. This is like that deep breath, if you will. It's like that deep breath, if you will, to like move forward in a certain extent that like requires that, like, it's like that, it's like before you like dive into a pool, you gotta make right with you gotta make right with yourself. You're like, so we see even now, like there's a lot of that energy here that is kind of like moving in that modality of like feminine is like tangibly like fortifying themselves to a certain extent. So this is more of the feminine putting a lot of concentration right now in the tangible space to build that feeling of internal stability, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Masculine, all of that emotional overwhelm. This is the masculine energy really assessing their feelings to try to navigate and utilize them as a compass to point them in the right direction. And I'd like to point out here, we've got a lot of that Cancer energy again, because what do we have when we have a crab? And we saw this yesterday with the combination of the Queen of Swords in its upright and the King of Swords in its reversal. We've got the hard exterior surface that is being represented by the Queen of Cups, or the Queen of Pentacles. So that's the hard external outside, right? We've got the soft internal inside of the true crab that is the masculine that is in their emotional space. So both of these energies in combination harmony right now, making both parts or aspects of the crab, the feminine coming into the aspect of resiliency, the masculine coming into that space of grounding in their emotional center. So what we effectively see at this time is both of these energies that are effectively navigating that modality wherein They're allowing themselves. They're moving. Look how, like, and both of them are fortifying themselves in this way due to the energetic point of navigating forward in such a way that they're dreading. Look at them. They're dreading going forward towards what they know they need to in order to find one another. They're in the same energetic connection. It's like they're already in energetic union. They just haven't found each other yet because they're about to face the same circumstances, like with the same energetic opinion, right? Masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union right now. This is why the energy right now is coming into that point of accommodation. The commitment, do you see that? The commitment isn't a commitment that occurs to be able to change something energetically. The commitment is what occurs when it becomes inevitable or uncomfortable. And you need to be able to make a commitment change in order to feel more comfortable in it. So we see even now, this is the energy that's looking towards one another. And this is the energy that's almost saying, I want to change something because I feel like it's you. You're my person. You're the other part of me. You're the other part of my crab. Like, you're the other part of my crab. This is the energy that says, again, the priority here isn't where they're going. It's the energy that says the priority is maintaining the energetic connection, and making an accommodation point is making adjustments. And this is the change of plans. This is the energy of saying we might have to change some plans here because what we initially intended or supposed isn't going to be enough, right? While for masculine and feminine energy right now, this is the energy deep within the divine union that is, again, articulating to those around them, if they're already in that modality, and saying effectively, we can't tell you how to find that point. They can't tell you how to get there. You can do everything that they did, and it might not result in the same energetic connection. That's why we see the energy there saying, don't do what one says. Find that for yourself. Discover it for yourself. Embody it for yourself. Find it within yourself, and then find it in someone else. So we see even there that that's a lot of the energy that's almost trying to articulate that to, like, and this is, what is the energy? What is the energy saying to the energy that is feeling that overwhelm or feeling that uncertainty? The only way you're going to get to where you're going is if you know where you're going. If you want to get somewhere, you got to know where you're going. So this is almost the energy that's saying, make sure you know where you're going and then move in that direction. Let that be your compass, right? Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our King of, wait, what happened here? How did my cards get like this? Oh, sorry. Oh, I see what happened. Okay. Continuing to get clarification here between our Queen of Pentacles, and they were too close together. I had to pull them apart again. Between our Queen of Pentacles in its upright in combination with our Four of Wands in its reversal. Clarification coming through right now. This guy should look familiar. We had him yesterday. Here's that King of Swords energy and its reversal again, right? So again, more of that energy right now in the divine union frequency that is, again, lending advice, lending support, navigating through circumstances. A bit difficult and different for the masculine and feminine energy, right? Because again, for feminine, masculine energy, a lot of this work that we're energetically seeing to a certain extent has to do with the masculine potentially offering advice, offering insight, offering support to other masculine energy. For feminine energy, we see even here, like, it's a little bit more difficult for some of the energy within the divine union frequency, because that's almost the feminine energy trying to do so in a way that, like, navigates and manages energetic expectations to a certain extent is what we're seeing. So we see and recognize even here that for a lot of the feminine energy, like, it feels much more like the masculine in this modality right now is much more candid, much more in that energy of like emotional connection, if you will. Feminine is, I want to say, feminine is kind of doing so in such a way where, like I told you, it's more of that hermit energy. So they're doing it more at a bit of an energetic distance. It's like the emotional expression, but like with that energetic limitation to a certain extent. So we see even here, like that's, like I told you, that's a little bit of that like gentleness that's occurring, that like resistant vulnerability that we see that is occurring right now in this Cancer energy of the feminine, that's requiring the feminine to be a little bit more like that. I want to say that firm but gentle hand. It's a bit more of that, if you will. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is coming into divine union, this is the energy right now. This is why this is a lot of the this is if this is energy that's moving into commitment right now. This is why it generates that modality that feels somewhat different for masculine and feminine, because for masculine, this is that moment that almost feels like that point of energetic triumph. This is that masculine that feels like they've arrived in their own center. They feel like they can be their most authentic self, and they feel like they found the energetic counterpart of the feminine, that they feel like that's like the two parts of a whole, if you will. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. For feminine, this is, again, that moment that's the amplification of joy, but also the amplification of surrender, because I told you this is a lot of feminine energy coming into past closure, particularly over past energetic connections. That's like the closing of the quiet door, because this is the energy that even at the moment that they experience this, it can feel re-triggering, because it may remind them of the states or spaces where they're receiving something from someone wholeheartedly, and it immediate reaffirms or re-triggers that moment that they had hoped or anticipated to receive that from someone, that they never received it prior, right? So that's almost like where that healing begins, because that is the energy of the feminine that truly feels like closure has occurred in relationality to feeling the vibration of stability that changes some of the past energetic connections to one of like I told you, that kind but firm hand, that one holds compassion for someone, but almost looks at them with a sense of sadness because one could never achieve that with them, potentially because that person was not ready or they were in that fear-based mentality. But that's like almost that moment of the feminine, like in the moment of feminine saying yes to masculine, feminine says no to those past energetic connections. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is in separation. This is why these energies right now are like I want to say, like they're emotionally preparing themselves to move forward into new energetic connections specifically, and that's a different process for masculine and feminine. For masculine, that's like having, like, emotionally fortifying oneself to accept all of the modalities of being able to like authentically build authentically, or trying to build authentically. It's like masculine feeling like they're, moving into this very vulnerable space in order to try to seek out a feminine energy in that way. But they don't, it's like not something, like it's hard for the masculine in that way, because the masculine is getting better at doing so, right? But it's also like the masculine's learning to be strong and vulnerable. It's a hard modality to hold, right? While for feminine, this is that modality of the feminine coming into that modality of saying, of holding the energetic standard and saying, my job in that modality is just recognizing that what's not for me, because it moves me closer to the masculine that is. So we see even now that both of these energies are navigating that in a different way, but they're doing the same work energetically. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is deep within the divine union, this has to do also with some of the, I want to say, this is also navigating some spaces or places of energetic volatility, potentially around past connections for energy within the divine union frequency. Because we see even now, I told you, for a lot of that energy here, it's like it's creating a lot of that like vibration of trying to help but not wanting to do something that feels like they're setting someone on the wrong path, right? Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Four of Wands in its reversal in combination with our King of Cups. One card to clarify, please. Are you kidding me right now? Are you kidding me right now with this? Do you see this? Do you remember? Do you remember what we started our reading on? Do you remember where we began our reading yesterday? We've got here our King of Swords in its reversal in combination with our Queen of Swords in its upright. We are exactly where we started yesterday. Exactly where we started yesterday. Same exact energies right next to each other again. I told you these cards didn't want to be separated. They're like, so we see even now for a lot of the energy in this modality right now. And I told you this is having a different experience. But there's so many energies right now. I'm telling you right now, a lot of energy right now that is firming up commitments, moving deeper into the divine union frequency, and a lot of energy that's set to build forth into new energetic connections. Specifically for masculine and feminine. And look at these are the energies that they're like dreading the possibility of doing so. That's why they're energetically ready. They're not looking forward to it. They're dreading it. But they're also in that modality where they're very much prepared to potentially encounter one another. So we see even now, for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is in the divine union frequency. Again, this is the masculine energy navigating those experiences and giving, this is the masculine feeling like they're getting a lot of that energetic insight. Masculine feels a lot easier in giving this type of energetic advice. There's a lot more confidence of the masculine here because the masculine, oh my God, there's masculine energy that is like feeling that sense of being like, someone's coming to me for advice. I remember when I used to come to someone for advice on this. It feels like it's a little bit of like the fluffing of the feathers here. This is like the signs of the Leo season coming through, masculine being like, yes, let me tell you. This is masculine, in divine union being like, yes, let me tell you how I came across. Let me regale you of the story of how I found my person. It's a little bit of that type of energy to a certain extent, sit down. So you can see here for masculine energy, that's a little bit more of that feeling of energetic confidence and camaraderie. For feminine, it's more of that gentle distant support, if you will. You know what I mean? But I also feel again, these are also energies right now. I have to stress the energy within the divine unions also navigating circumstances and situations within their own experiences. And we see this even now. Because a lot of this is also talking about the fact that a lot of these energies are, as we mentioned, even in the modality that they're coming together right now, they're navigating, energetic circumstances or situations that don't necessarily feel like they're perfectly ideal, right? So even here, this isn't just the energy right now. This is energy just kind of sharing stories. There's a lot of stories that I see that are happening here because this is also masculine and feminine energy within the divine union articulating both where they are, but also articulating what they're actively experiencing presently. And some of that even here feels like some resistance to their own plans and path work that they've been navigating, which we saw over the last few days, right? And both of these energies are kind of doing that modality. What are they doing? They're giving confidence. They're lending energetic support. But again, much like they are within their own path work, they're not trying to change someone else's course or direction. They're trying to help someone figure out what's right for them. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is coming into divine union, this is a little bit of that because this is the energy, and the only thing about this is the modality that's being experienced for a lot of the energy coming into divine union. It feels very difficult because this is almost the masculine that's looking towards feminine being what have you done to me? Like, what have you done to me? Like, you've made me feel so vulnerable. I'm feeling all of these things, but I feel okay. And I feel like it's safe to share them. I feel like I'm becoming emotionally whole as I'm with you. And this is the masculine energy saying to the feminine, I feel like things are changing because I don't want to surrender this surrender. I don't want to surrender this surrender. I don't want to surrender this surrender. I want to create a space where I can have more of it. Like that's that beautiful, blissful surrender of finding the energy that when we say, like when the masculine says to the feminine, you're my home, the masculine says to the feminine, you give me a space where I feel I can be safe, to be my authentic self. I can be my most vulnerable self. So these are the energies that are like, again, they're expanding, they're adjusting, they're changing the dynamics because of the expression of feeling like they're really coming into alignment. While for feminine, this is more of that moment of like confidence. It's more of that feeling of like, you know, feeling that sense of like responsibility, right? Because this is the feminine energy that truly feels the responsibility of being in that modality for the masculine. And this is almost the feminine saying to the masculine, your vulnerability means everything to me. I will do my best to always protect it. While for the energy right now in separation, this is the energy in separation that is like getting that, like I'm getting to see here, they're ramping themselves up to like dive back into that pool is what I'm seeing. Like it's really like, that's that crab energy. They're ramping themselves up to dive back into that pool. Feminine, the healed feminine energy, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. What is the feminine energy doing to dive back into the pool? They're putting on their armor. They're putting their armor on. This is a feminine energy saying, I have to be resilient. I have to have standards. I'm putting my armor on. Masculine saying, I got to go into the pool. I got to take my armor off. I got to take my armor off. I don't want to do it, but I have to take my armor off. I have to do that because how else is the feminine going to find me if I don't take my armor off? So we see even now like those energies, and they're getting that support from the energy within the divine union frequency, or for the energy around them saying, go for it. You can do it. Do it. Like they're like that's the spirit. Like that's what you need to do. That's the vibe you need to have. Like that's the energy being like, we're not telling you where to go. We're telling you the vibe you need to be in. Be in that vibe. Bottom of the deck. Final card for today's spread is, we have here our Seven of Swords in its reversal. Because really, and this is, I got to say it right now. I'm going to tell you right now, the inclination right now, and I'm going to say this specifically for the masculine energy, we're much better today. You're much better. Yesterday was like, I don't know what's going on yesterday, but that was a doozy. Masculine and feminine are literally, I got to say, guys, this is balance today. This is energy is in like perfect harmonic balance. That's why you guys always ask me this. I'm telling you right now, you're probably not going to have a lot of activity today. There's not going to be a lot of activity. You guys always ask me when these energies are in alignment. Congratulations. Today is a day. We got the parallels here. You see this? We got the parallels here. We've got, like, make sure to go catch this spread. I'm going to post a photo of it on my Substack. So you got to see this. We got the parallel lines here between the masculine and the feminine energy. And then they're moving closer together, right? But the important thing, the most valuable thing about this path work right now, don't you dare backtrack. Don't you dare backpedal. Don't look at this. The affirmation. You guys know what I say here. You know what I say. We do not go back to the sword store for puppies or kittens or bunny rabbits. We only go back to the sword store for one thing and one thing only. More swords. So that's why we see even now having to encounter and navigate some of this unhealthy energy, especially at the start of the day. Like a lot of that work here, a lot of that work that's effectively being implemented has to be articulated in recognizing and not doing what feels easy, not feeling what feels easy, but what is actually feels like it is energetically best. So keep your focus today on what feels like it is best for you, not what energetically feels good in the moment. Particularly because we see here for masculine and feminine energy, that inclination, I'm going to tell you right now, that's that softness of the crab energy, that inclination to go back to like introspect and decide to walk backwards instead of forwards, you know, like that's there. It's in the air, right? So that ability of recognizing it and just facing it, like write about it. Don't go act upon it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just like let that be that moment that like builds into that state or space of recognizing like what feels like it is the direction that is best for you, as opposed to moving back towards spaces and places that may have only created doubt, fear, anxiety, hurt, or pain. Because we see even now like a lot of that work that's happening here. And even here, what's beautiful about it, we see even now there's a lot of that path work of recorrection. Like there's a lot of that path work here of being able to look back on one's own experiences and recognize that you've changed how you move and what you do. So we see and even here, a lot of that work is the reassessment of how far you've come. And a lot of this energy is on the breakthrough of new energetic connections right now. For masculine and feminine energy, that is deep within the divine union frequency. This is the energy that is helping others through those circumstances and situations by articulating their own path work. And a lot of that energy of articulating their own path work is almost, again, coming into that space of saying that what they like, what the energy does in the divine union isn't different. It's exactly the same. But it's the commitment that they have towards one another, that reaffirmation of going forward. Like that is why the energy, like this is the energy that says the affirmation of not allowing themselves, like this is the energy that supports one another along the way, right? While for the masculine and feminine energy, that is, and that ability of articulating and doing so, they're supporting energy that's also feeling in that modality to help them recognize and say like the path, the thing that's going to heal you is probably not going to be the thing that hurt you. Right? So we see even now, like a lot of that energy is reaffirming their own energetic commitment by supporting those that are moving in that direction. While for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union, this is the energy that is reaffirming their own energetic commitments. And I see even now a lot of those energetic commitments becoming very firm right now. Like there's a lot of solidifying of energetic connections right now, putting words to the actions, right? Because this is an energy that feels like they're changing the energetic connection by changing what they're calling it. It feels like they're just describing what's already presently there. While for masculine and that's that moment that even in that act of doing so, it's a reaffirmation of making that point of adjustment and saying, I'm choosing to move forward with you in this way, right? And even there, that's that quiet door of the past that's closing as they do so. While for masculine and feminine energy that is in separation, this is the energy that is like fortifying themselves to move forward right now, while at the same time still feeling the lingering inclination of going back and then going like, and that's a lot of that path work of like for masculine and feminine. For feminine, that's like holding the energetic standard of the self. For masculine, that is like doing, like I want to say, not doing what feels like it's best for the ego, but what honestly feels best for the soul. Bottom of the deck on this reading right now is 8 of Wands in its reversal. So I told you right now, I'm going to say it right now. You guys always ask me when these energies are in alignment. Congratulations, they're in alignment today. There's going to be almost no communication. If today is the day you're seeking communication, you might not necessarily be experiencing it, because when the energy, I told you, there's a lot of this energy right now that's in that pathwork of introspection. And when these energies are in alignment, when they're parallel, they don't frequently, there's not a lot of engagement, right? So especially for energy in separation right now, if you're in separation, I wouldn't expect a lot of activation that's occurring specifically today, because these energies, it's like, are gearing up for activation. So it's like they're both like in that modality here. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is coming into divine union, there may be some closing out of cycles that's occurring right now. There may be some endings that are happening here for energy, because if these are energies that are moving into like partnership or commitment, deeper commitment, this may be, I told you, that's that quiet door that's closing. So we see even now that that may be like articulating that that is the case, or helping navigate energy that may, like, again, it's like having to articulate to others what is potentially occurring. May feel like there's some communication closures that are happening in these moments. While for masculine and feminine energy deep within the divine union frequency, this is the energy navigating that like delicate piano of trying to say to someone, I want to give you enough advice that you can figure it out for yourself, but do not think that I'm telling you what to do. I'm not prescribing to you a solution to your problems. I'm trying to tell you what worked for us in such a way to help you recognize that there's no one way to go. You have to figure out what's best. You have to go your own way. And through doing so, you will be able to recognize and identify like what is best for you. And that's not something that we can articulate. It's something that you just have to recognize. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here to experience it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, graystrega.com. My private readings are done over video. And if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber name at the point of payment. Please keep in mind when you book a private reading with me, it is a two-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. I want to thank you guys so much for being here. Also, just a few updates before we move into personal readings. First and foremost, thank you to everyone who attended our High Priestess class last month. Our next live class will be held on Wednesday, July 17th, 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be doing a deep dive into the Empress card. If you'd like to become a part of our live class program, just head over to my Substack, graystrega.substack.com. Your paid subscription will grant you access to our live classes, as well as the course materials and recordings for all of the previous classes. You got plenty of time to catch up. You can catch up on the Fool card, the Magician, the High Priestess. They're all there. You'll also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions you may have in relation to anything we've studied thus far. And if you become a founding member to my Substack, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, but you will also receive a one-on-one mentorship reading with me where we will assess where you are on your own personal tarot journey, and I'll give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize the class and your pathwork to the best of your advantage going forward. One of the things I tried to do in these classes is make them so that they would be useful to both the absolute novice reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's certainly something there for everyone. So thank you so much if you're already participating and if you're joining us for our next class, and hopefully I'll see you there. And even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my Substack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings, events. I post my weekly newsletter with my live schedule there, and even our giveaways. Speaking of giveaways, I am doing a giveaway right now for a free tarot reading. If you'd like to win that free tarot reading, head over to my Linktree. There's a 2-minute travel survey there. Filling out that survey will grant you an entry into the giveaway, but if you would like to increase your chances of winning, go ahead and forward that survey link to a friend, because when I pull the winner, I'm giving a free reading not only to the person who wins, but also to whoever referred them to take the survey. So thank you so much, and I wish you the best of luck in winning. Fine, and I'm pulling that winner today. Finally, I want to let you guys know that I have a few new offerings on top of my standard life path readings. I'm now offering mentorship classes. Those can be purchased on an individual or class package basis, so 4 45-minute classes, 1 per week for the month. Those can be focused around any area of study that you are interested in pursuing in tarot or spirituality. I take a very limited number of students for that reason. Also, if you would like more consistent tarot support, I'm now happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. Those are a package of 4 30-minute readings, 1 per week, so you can stay more consistent on navigating your own journey work. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing with me in these messages, and we will do this again